So what I would also request is when you go back and talk to your juniors, leave a message that this is something which helps long-term careers and to focus on it from a quality perspective. See, if you don't have the time, you should tell your juniors don't be part of this. Because what we've noticed over the years is quality has been sort of up and down. We've expanded it, we've taken it to 45, 50 business schools. It's also a question of conveying what impact does it convey of business school reputation. So you should request your juniors, whoever is really interested, has the time, should be part of it. And all of you, if you actually enjoy this competition, you can sort of mentor them. Thank you very much and all the best.
Hi, I think both Jayesh and Amit have covered quite a bit. I just had a few observations. One is, of course, all of you all did a great job. Two or three main things. One is, of course, you need to think beyond the Excel sheets. Sometimes Excel sheets can be very distracting. When you do a DCF model, it's quite fun to look at 10 years projections. You are trying to decide the fate of a company for the next 10 years, but it can be a huge distraction. So after you finish your DCF, you need to take it and compare it with what is common sense, as what Jayesh said. And one of the things which repeatedly came up over here is you are assuming that the cost of equity will be, you are demanding a cost of equity that you would want a return of 10, 12, 13, 14%, whatever you are looking at. But when you look at the upside potential of a stock, it's giving you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9%. Right? So do you really want to recommend it as a buy? It just shows that you are not applying what you did in your model to what you actually want. The model actually says you want 12%. Your upside says 5%. Why are you giving it a buy? And don't feel shy to recommend a sell. Stocks can be a big sell. All of you all looks like you had a preconceived notion that it has to be a buy. Right? You could have just compared your VAC model to your actual assumptions. You would have seen the huge discrepancy. So that was one observation. Second is sometimes when you look at the cost structures, some things could be important, but in terms of percentage of revenues it could be smaller. Some could be percentage of revenues, it could be big, but may not be very important. Like all of you have referred to raw material cost. Yes, it is important, but it's not just important for DB Corp, right? It's important for everybody. So if raw material print goes up, it's not going to affect only DB Corp, it's going to affect HT Media, it's going to affect Jargon, it's going to affect everybody. So therefore that may not be the most important cost for me to look at. But I would definitely worry about whether his employee cost, whether he is able to attract and retain talent. Ultimately, why do you read a newspaper? It's for the great content. Right? So that, what does he do? So when you meet the management, don't ask him on newsprint. That you will get it for everybody and from the industry. But how does he attract talent? How does he get that one good guy in Bihar to write great stories on Bihar? And how does he retain talent? Does he give them above average salary? Does he give them ESOPs? What does he do? That becomes a very important factor. So when you do modeling on companies, please remember that what is risky in one company may not be risky in the other. Certain industry risks are common to all, but you need to focus on company-specific aspects. That was my second observation, which not many of you all did. Then broadly on certain risks which you did not mention, one of them could be regulatory risk. It may or may not be there, but the fact that none of you all referred to it made me a little worrisome. Like for instance, in the case of TV industry, I don't know whether you are aware that the government actually came up with a rule which said that the number of minutes of ads on a TV should be reduced. Now is that possible in media? May not be possible, may not be relevant, but at least you should have thought about it. Can the government say that only 20% of the paper should have advertisement? Or can they increase the paginations and assume more to come? Because you are actually seeing live that the TV industry is affected. You must have read about it. So therefore, is it applicable to the print media or not? That's something which you could have. It may not be directly linked. It may not be a risk, but you should have at least referred to it. That was just one observation. Second is normalizing. Like most of you all focused on next 1 year. Most of you all focus on the next 2 quarters. In a company's lifetime, a quarter is nothing. Right? So next 2 quarters, why are you referring to the next election? We are going to have n number of elections over the next few years. So why do you worry about next one election and therefore the impact on advertisement and therefore your assumption whether it should be a buy or sell? So look at more long-term trends. The near-term trends are really not a big issue. And last thing is beware of definitions. When you look at a company, most companies and statistics will say that the literacy rate in India is so and so, therefore people will read newspaper. You need to ask yourself, how do you define literacy? I was shocked to know that literacy in India in many places just means ability to sign. If you can sign, you are considered literate. So do you want to really take that 67%, 77% literacy level to decide whether people will read, or is there something else you may want to look at? So just remember that when they use words, they mean certain things in certain contexts, but you have to take it out and see are there some other data you need to look at. But otherwise I think it was a fairly good job. And last and the least is almost all the presentations had less slides on the business, more slides on valuations and statistics. To me, the valuation is the last part. You should be able to describe the business much better. Like repeatedly, I think Namit asked on management. That should be your first question. Whom are you investing? In what kind of company are you investing? And again, when you look at corporate governance, don't look at what the Institute of Company Secretaries or CAs tell you to do. Right? They will give you these 5 metrics, but unfortunately it doesn't say anything about related party transactions. If you take the balance sheet of DB Corp, there is like 5 or 6 pages of related party transactions. Right? So that should hit you immediately, as opposed to whether, like in one of the presentations you mentioned how many trees they planted, etc. That is the least thing you should worry on a management governance point of view. It's about these related party transactions which you should worry about. But otherwise, I think you all did a great job. Please keep it up. Thank you for the opportunity.